Michigan dominates 63-3 over Central Michigan earlier today. When you look at the score in this game, there really wasn't too much really take away from it. Obviously, when you win a game by 60 points, you look at some things, but you just look at how the game went overall. And Michigan, obviously without Sharon Moore, was led by Biff Poggi today. He obviously has head coaching experience, and the one really takeaway that I can have in this game is that it truly felt like Michigan's offense was more free in this game under Biff Poggi and under Chip Lindsey than Sharon Moore. Now, obviously, when you score 63 points and Central can't do anything defensively, it might look a little bit more like that just because of how many points you have. Now, obviously, we're going to see next week against Nebraska to see if that does possibly continue. But in this game, you have Bryce Underwood that was fantastic for the most part. Really, the only mistake that he made was, one, his first interception ever at Michigan. And that was a pretty bad deep ball. That's a deep ball that you really don't want to see Bryce Underwood make. Now, obviously, as a freshman, he's going to make those mistakes. You obviously rather have him make that mistake in a game like this than a really close game. But then one thing that I thought Bryce Underwood was really good at in this game that I think he needs to continue to do if you're a Michigan fan and you want to see where this offense goes, Bryce Underwood was really good at using his feet and getting first downs, and he had 2 running touchdowns in this game for 114 yards on 9 carries. If Bryce Underwood learns how to use his legs and Michigan allows him to use his legs more, it's really going to add another component to what this offense can be. And maybe that's a little bit of what is going to come from this game, and what Chip Lindsey and Biff Poggi talked about was that they kind of let him off of the pedal a little bit last week because it was against Oklahoma. Basically, they said now they're not going to do that. They're going to go full throttle, and you really saw him do that in this game, and it really helped out having, obviously, great performances from a Justice Hayes, which continues to run really well. Jordan Marshall had 2 touchdowns in this game, but then you also got help from the wide receiver spot as well. Samaj Morgan scored a touchdown in this game. Andrew Marsh got involved. Hogan Hansey got involved. Donovan McCauley got involved. You had this wide receiver core continue to get involved. And I think that's going to really be the difference between what this offense can be and what this offense turns into, is what can this wide receiver room and tight end room do for Bryce Underwood. Now, again, if Bryce Underwood continues to use his legs, it allows wide receivers to continue to get open, then teams are going to have to respect him, so that's going to help them overall offensively. Now, again, this is Central Michigan. I don't really know how much this is going to translate. I think a lot of it's going to translate, but obviously they're going to play better opponents. You're starting to get now into Big Ten play. But then you have defense where basically Central can't do anything. They end up scoring 3 points in this game, and that's about it. If you look at like the total yardage for each of these teams, it's just dramatically different. Michigan had 616 yards compared to 139. Now, obviously, we know that Central Michigan's offense compared to Michigan's defense probably isn't going to go too well. Definitely did not go too well in this game. And then vice versa, you have Central going up against Bryce Underwood. That's almost unfair at that point, even though it's a Michigan team that has struggled offensively in the past game against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's defense quite a bit better than what the Central Michigan team is going to show. And you saw it in this game overall. So that's really all I can really take away from this game. Winning by 60, again, you really can't take too much away from it. But it's going to be interesting to see if this continues to translate in the next couple of games. Do I think Michigan's going to be scoring 63 points a game? Absolutely not. But I would love to see if kind of that playing free, letting Bryce Underwood use his legs, having his wide receivers more involved, still having a Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall involved. If they can continue doing that, this is an offense that should be better than what they have been in. I think maybe Michigan might have learned a little bit of last week of what not to do with Bryce Underwood. Now, once Sharon Moore comes back, we'll see if he kind of sprinkles a little bit more into what he's calling. But if I'm Sharon Moore, I'm watching this game and it continues against Nebraska, I'm letting Chip Lindsey continue to call it, even though Sharon Moore is obviously an offensive line coach in the past. He wants to run the ball. If you have a guy like Bryce Underwood, I think you have to let him just use his legs, sling it, let him make some plays. And I think they started doing that against Central. But like I said, it's Central. So we'll truly see if this continues. This Central Michigan team obviously is going to have to rebound next week coming into this game. They obviously weren't going to win, but this is a really rough day for Central, and I'm sure any Central fan watching that definitely agrees with that. But yeah, that's really the recap of this game. Not a ton to talk about, obviously, because of the score and just domination that Michigan had. But to no one's surprise, Michigan ends up winning. I think the main surprise is by 60. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoy this recap. Pretty short one, but if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue to support. There'll be previews coming up this upcoming week. And then get into a little bit more of these other games that happened today.